Okay, I would like to call this meeting to order. This meeting tonight is actually to do interviews for the Red Canyon Trail Committee. We really felt it was important to get the public feedback, to be really careful and responsible and cognizant of what the public wants for this trail. We love our trails in Canyon City, and it has been actually really interesting that the idea of maybe doing something official at Red Canyon has actually sparked a lot of conversation, even I might say some controversy. Whether it's just to leave it as is or to create a responsible route, make sure it's available to all users, including the equine group, and the list can go on. And so we're going to really, really appreciate each of the citizens that have volunteered to apply for this committee. Today we will be doing interviews. What will happen is I'm going to draw in order your names on who will get interviewed first, after we take attendance. And I was here late from a detour on the road, and I was in a panic, and I'm still like recovering. So thank you for everyone's backup. So let's do attendance. Yeah.
Councilmember Dennehy, absent. Councilmember Schmischer.
Here.
Councilmember B. Smith, absent. Councilmember Stein.
Here.
Councilmember Tracy.
Here.
Councilmember Worthington.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Hamrick, absent. Mayor Smith.
Here. Okay. So I'm going to draw your names in order of who goes first, and each council member is going to ask you a question. I would advise each council member to ask the exact same question to every single applicant so that we can rate you exactly the same. Now, in order to be fair, we're actually going to invite the applicants to all go to a room just outside here, and so that you don't have an unfair advantage of hearing the questions in advance or what other people have to say about them. And then after everyone's interviewed, we'll bring everyone in, we'll have a little bit of a discussion, and then we will decide the official format of that committee. Do any of you have a question for us before we send you to the other room? Sure. And then Cindy, will you direct them to where they're going to go as well? And the general public can stay out here. The first person that we'll be interviewing is Becky.
Everybody else can come with me.
Yeah, the rest of you follow Cindy right there. And then she'll call you. When we're done with Becky, she'll call you in. Yep. So Becky, before we start asking you questions, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. I moved to Fremont County in 1993. Grew up in Colorado Springs, went to Air Academy, and then after high school went to Denver. And I did my time up there and couldn't take it. So when you start popping kids, that I wanted to have a little more elbow room. So we moved down here. We had friends, the Crosleys that used to have Crosley Sub Shop. I went to school with their youngest son, and very good friends. So that's what got us down here. I love it. I appreciate the way things are down here. I know it's growing, so forth, but I just, I wouldn't trade it for the world after being in Denver for all that time. What else can I tell you? I'm a member of the Backcountry Horsemen. I do a lot of trail work for the BLM and the Forest Service, and I have worked with the DOW in the state. And I've done reclamation for several fires, afterwards, and reclaiming the land. I've learned a lot of that, and I just enjoy being outside. I think Red Canyon Park is gorgeous. It is such a gem in this county. It's just amazing to me. And every time I go in there, it's just, I feel like I'm in the Garden of the Gods or something, so.
Wonderful. We'll start with a question. We'll start on this side and just work our way down.
Thank you so much, Becky, for expressing interest and for being willing to serve. Could you tell me why you want to serve on this committee, please?
I think it's important to have representation for the equine committee or community. And it's, important to me because the weather and everything around in this area is just gorgeous, and it's year-round that we can ride, So that's important to me. Give us something to do.
Thank you.
Yes, Becky, welcome, and thank you for taking your time to do this, because any time you serve on a committee for the city, there's a number of hours that will be involved of your own time, and we appreciate that you're willing to contribute those. I was just wondering, what would you consider to be your number one concern about Red Canyon Trail development? I mean, what's your concern?
Wow, that's a good one. I don't want to see it overused. Does that make sense? And just so you know, I didn't mention, I am retired, so I've got my own time, you know, so that helps. I retired from the Canyon City Schools a few years back, so, yeah. So that's my main concern, is that, you know, I haven't found that in most trails around here, you know, like Oil Well Flats and the banks and that kind of thing. It can get busy in the summertime, but, you know, like I said, the weather, you can take part in everything during the winter also, so.
So do you think it's...
Whoops.
Do you think it's overused at this time?
No. You're talking about the park?
Yes.
No.
Okay.
No, I don't.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Councilmember Tracy?
Thank you for being here. Thank
You
you
bet.
for applying for this. This is kind of a three-part question, just as we all think about Red Canyon Park and what it's like now, what it could be. If things that you would want to point out that you feel is working well in the park now, or if there's anything that's not working well, or anything you'd like to see done differently there.
I do notice, and I don't know if it's kids or just people from out of state or something, but when I ride through, I usually come from Seep Springs and ride over there. You know, it's a nice ride. And there's a lot of trash. And I don't know if there's something that the city can go in and, you know, monitor that a little more. But whenever I'm in there, I keep bags in my saddlebags and I pick up what I can, you know. And what else was it?
Oh, just things that you think are working well or not working well. The trash
Well,
certainly
being
is a good
just,
example.
there's no trails, it's all, you
Yeah.
know, road. And even when you're on a horse, you know, you gotta watch out for that car coming up behind you and that
Right.
kind of thing. So I'm afraid that if we had people walking, especially with children, that's scary to me. You know, because cars are quiet nowadays.
Right, right.
So that's my main concern, probably.
Great, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks again. You know, we appreciate your coming early, too, as far as a meeting.
Right.
This is similar to what Councilwoman Stein asked, but basically, what don't you want to see at the park?
Probably motorized vehicles on the trails, because they've got the roads, you know, that they're on. So I'd say that. I don't have a problem with the hiking, bikes, horses, you know. We all seem to get along pretty well.
Becky, so you've said some things that you don't want to see, but what is your vision for Red Canyon? I mean, in the ideal world, what would your vision?
Well, I feel like so much of the park is not available to go and, you know, have fun with and see it. And like I said, it's just gorgeous in there. It takes my breath away because, you know, different times of the year, the sun is in a different position and you just see so many different things every time I go in there. But you stay to the road, you're only going to see what's on the road, you know. So I'm excited about it. I really am. I think it'd be great.
Are there any follow-up questions from council? Okay.
I leave?
You can stay here.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yes. Next, we have Tim Payne.
You survived, Becky? Oh, I don't know. Is it tough?
Yeah, that was pretty quick. You did awesome.
Good
Tim,
afternoon.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, Tim, so we can get to know you?
Okay.
Be fair.
Well, I was born and raised here in Canyon City. Owsley obviously put a lot of time in outdoor recreation. Growing up here, Red Canyon Park is always a real fun place to go visit up there. I've been on many special district boards for 20 years, starting in 2004, started with the Recreation District, and I helped develop trails starting in 2004, starting at John Griffin Park and expanding the Riverwalk Trail, both west and east from the Recreation District offices. I was the county representative for the South Canyon Trail project, and also did a lot of trails up at Ecology Park when I was county commissioner. And so I've done quite a bit as far as trails and outdoor recreation, and that's really a brief synopsis.
No, that's perfect.
Yeah.
Each council member will ask you a question. We'll start with Councilmember Schmischer.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you so much for being here and for your willingness to serve our community in so many different ways. Why do you want to serve on this committee in particular?
Well, I believe this is a really good project. When Rex made the presentation on this, I think it's needed. And I think I could probably help with the obstacles, because other trails I helped develop, you know, was there was always some kind of obstacles of some kind that needed to overcome. And I think I could help out with some of that with this project.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tim, for volunteering for yet another of series of meetings that you have to do. What would you consider your number one concern about Red Canyon Trail development? What's the biggest thing that you would be concerned about?
Probably make sure that we don't add to erosion out there would be my guess. You know, that's something, and I think with Steve being the trail builder, I think he'll do a really good job. He's done real good jobs on that in the past, especially in the South Canyon trails. But we want to just be real cautious on adding to any kind of erosion problems out there. That would probably be number one, and because I believe the access will be okay from what Rex presented, and so I think that would be the number one thing.
Thank you.
No.
Go ahead, Emily. We'll have you and Kathy go first. That way John can hear all the questions we've already asked.
Thanks, and thanks for your interest in this new committee that we are putting together. Kind of a three-part question, and you can answer some or all or none of it, whatever works. So just from your perspective regarding Red Canyon Park, what do you see that's working well there now? What's not working well? And what would you like to see done differently there?
Well, you just have the one access road going through, which it works well for people not getting too far off, and because we know people can damage a lot of structure out there, ecostructure. One thing that needs to be improved, I think, is probably some signage on what the formations are. I took some family members out there recently, and they were asking me, what are the names of the formations? I go, they got names? Can't tell you what they are. I think in putting this on that trail in some of the lookouts, I think would help. And I think putting some signage out there as far as what the formations are, and maybe a little history out there would be nice. But that answer your question?
It does,
First one,
thanks.
okay.
Yeah.
First off, Tim, I'd like to see your calendar, because I'm not sure you can fit anything more onto it, but we appreciate your effort. Yeah. Anyway, mine's similar to Andrea's, but what is the one thing you don't want to see out there?
Yeah, I don't want to see more trash, and more people will inevitably bring more trash. We saw that at Ecology Park when we developed that a little bit more. And so we had to take more trash cans and have more maintenance out there for that kind of thing. So you want to guard against, because more people means more problems. And a lot of that is trash that just gets tossed. Yeah. Hi, John.
Hi, Tim.
Yeah,
How are you
I need to
doing?
note John is here.
I did make it. One of the concepts used in managing public lands or properties used for public purposes is the idea of multiple land use. Do you support that idea, or do you think that there are certain users that should be favored over others?
And it depends on who owns the land. Location is big. BLM is really big about everybody doing everything, but they got a lot more land to do that with. They can do cattle leases. They can do motorized. For this project, it's so small, you're really going to have to limit it to horses and pedestrians and bicycles. But as far as National Forest and BLM, yeah, I support them doing everything they can out there. They do a good balance on leases for cattle and that type of thing. So, yeah, to answer your question, as far as the big picture, BLM and National Forest, yeah, I support that.
Thank you.
And then the final question is, besides having signage that's for history informations, what would be your overall vision and hope for Red Canyon Park?
Oh, to expand it even further is what you're asking?
I'm just curious
Pa-
what would you see in
Uh,
your ideal fantasy?
I think maybe like Rex had mentioned, a circular where you can circle the whole park in a trail would be really beneficial to do that. That way you can come back to your starting point without going down the road. I think that would be really good. Beyond that, I don't think it's big enough to put too many more trails out there. The park itself isn't. It's not like Royal Gorge Park where you could put multiple trails out there. This is pretty condensed. So I think maybe just the circular trail to come back would work for that area.
Okay,
Yeah.
and that's it.
That's it?
That's all we had.
That's pretty painless.
Yeah, it's not too bad. This is more, trails.
All
That's
right,
usually
well,
pretty
thanks for
fun.
having me.
Yeah, thank you. Sonia is next. Oh. Becky,
move her up by
do
the
you want an opportunity to answer John's question about multiple use?
All right, looking at it. Answer you.
You need me to restate the question for you?
Sure, I didn't even hear it.
Yeah. So my question was that in managing public lands for the public's benefit, one of the theories that is used is multiple land use. In other words, the lands are open to multiple parties
Right.
for use of that particular area. Do you favor that, or do you take the approach that there are some groups that need to be favored over others?
I don't believe anyone should be favored over another, and I ride, like I said, Oil Well Flats or, up at the banks or whatever, and I myself have never had any problem. Everybody just seems to be courteous and know the rules and so forth like that, and, like a bicycle comes up on me, they're gonna be going faster than I do, and they're supposed to yield to me, but I usually get off the trail and let them go, because I don't want to hold them up. Just little things. And I've gotten to know a lot of the people out there using the trails. You get to know each other, because I'm out there just as much as they are. So I think it's great. We all pay for it, so we all should be able to use it.
Thank you.
Anything else?
Nope, that's it.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Voice of experience. Help others.
Hi, Sonia. How are you?
I'm good.
Good.
Thank you all for letting me be a part of this interview process. I've been very anxious about it and excited to see where this goes. And first thing I'd like to say, I am an advocate for people with disabilities, and I just feel that the trail system all trails should be universal for everybody. I mean, not like four-wheelers or, big equipment too much, but everyone should be allowed on the trails. And since I've been in Canyon City since 2018, I moved from Parker down here with my parents. They live in Pueblo West, and so I had never really experienced a lot of the trails until I moved here. But through the Southern Buddies Running Group and the Lockwood Foundation, that has really helped me to enjoy the trails and get out and enjoy nature, because I love to enjoy nature. I've learned through the Lockwood Foundation and Southern Buddies Running Group, I've learned so much about trails, and just getting to learn the education about Canyon City has been really awesome for me. So, and I really, there's one question that has stuck to my mind. I asked Rex at that interview or that meeting for, questions or whatever. I asked him if Red Canyon Trail could be accessible. He says, oh, no. But he did say, for people who don't get to see like the Overcliff or whatever is out there, needs to take advantage of seeing it. Well, that's how it should be for people with disabilities, because me and my friend Chris have gotten to see so much that regular hikers on a daily basis get to see, but we've never seen at all, So I just feel it's really important that trails should be universal as much as possible. And I'm excited to see what Red Canyon can be, because we're also helping with a campground, a geological campground about 1.5 miles from there. And the guy, it's owned by the University of Kansas, and they are making an ADA geological camp. And it's going to take a couple more years because they're still working on fundraising, but they're willing to make it co-ed, so people with disabilities and non-disabled can work together inside and outside. So, and there are ways to make trails accessible. I brought some pictures. I recently was in an event a couple weeks ago, and I got to try a grit chair. And after seeing how it worked, I realized it was probably more feasible for Canyon City than the track chair, because it doesn't require a lot of maintenance. It's just an all-terrain wheelchair, and it has 2 handles that you push. And I was able to give it a try pushing on my own, and it was amazing. So, so if the Red Canyon Trail can't be totally accessible, I think a grit chair would be awesome out there. I really do. And it's a lot less expensive and no maintenance, like I said. So.
Awesome. Okay, well, we have a few questions for you, too. We're going to start with Councilmember Schmischer.
Okay.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you so much for being here, Sonia. Thank you so much for expressing your interest and your desire to serve your community in this way. My question is, why do you want to serve on this committee?
why I want to serve on this committee is because, like I said, I'm here to serve the population of people with disabilities. I know there are people in our community that like to get out and do outdoor things, but there's nowhere really outside a canyon they can go hiking that's accessible for them. So that's why I want to be on this committee, is I want to be able to show you guys what it would take to make trails accessible. And if I can work with the Parks and Recreation District, and I know my friend Burl has talked to Kyle about the track chair, but if I can work with the Parks and Rec District to help them understand, I know there's plenty of people in Canyon City now with disabilities. We just got to get them out here and enjoying this community, like the Roe Gorge, Tunnel Drive. I've done so many, through Southern Buddies Running Group, I've done so many races, and getting involved with the running club for the Rim to Rim, done the Rim to Rim. But people who want to be able to do trails by themselves, I feel that's a very important thing. If they can be in a track or a grit chair like that, to go and try it, get out in the nature and enjoy it. So that's why I want to be on this committee.
Thank you.
Hi, Sonia.
Hi.
I thank you so much for wanting to participate in this, and it's taking on some hours of meetings. It's a commitment, and not everybody can do that. I'm really glad that you're here. And so, in the spirit of accessibility, what's your number one concern about development of Red Canyon trails? What is your concern in, say there's a circular trail, as that's just one option. What would be your major concern about the development of that?
I think the major concern I would have, basically, it does sound like it's pretty rocky, but if there was a way to make it where there could be some removable rocks to make paths that were a little more accessible, then I think that would be the way to go. But that would be my main concern, is a lot of rocks, because Lockwood Foundation, as I've experienced through them, he mainly helps people go over difficult trails, and it's coming up his 4th year of doing Mount Elbert with another hiker, and that's a 3-day hike. So yeah, just having a lot of rocks and not even ground. Making sure the ground is leveled out as much as possible. And it would be awesome if it could be accessible to this overlook. That would be my, I'd like to be able to see it get out, to be accessible to get out towards the overlook.
Okay, so to get more rock removal and accessibility, perhaps just for a portion of the trail?
Yeah, yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks so much for your interest in this committee and for being here. The question I've been asking applicants is, just based on your knowledge of Red Canyon Park as it is now, do you see things that are working well there, not working well, things you would want to see differently? And I know you've kind of addressed some of this already, and maybe you can add in just some of your own experience on trails in other areas too.
I've not actually been to Red Canyon Trail. I've been out to that geological camp close to it, and it's very accessible to get to. What I understand with Red Canyon Trail, it's accessible to get in, but I guess the further you get in, it's a little more rockier. But the experience from what other trails I've experienced, you know, it does take experience. You gotta have the experience, and then you gotta know what your strength level is, being able to walk up a trail. And that's another thing with elderly people. I know there's elderly people who like to get out and hike here too. And that would be my other concern with the rocks, you know. So I just think that it would be, you know, just a little bit easier if people would understand that they need to make it a little bit more level, so.
Got it. All right, thank you.
Hi, Sonia.
Hi.
Being somewhat elderly and having no balance left in me, I appreciate your last comments. So, what would be your, I guess, what don't you want to see at the park? What would be your worst nightmare, in a sense?
I think my worst nightmare would be seeing, you know, the trail not being taken care of, you know, maintained well. I think that would be the biggest concern for me, is making sure it's well maintained, because I know y'all try hard to keep the Riverwalk maintained, but there are sometimes I've had issues on the Riverwalk. So just keeping it well maintained would be my biggest concern.
Thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Hi, Sonia, glad
Hi.
you could be here. One of the theories about managing lands held in the public trust is the theory of multiple land use, where multiple parties can use the land.
Right.
What are your thoughts about that? Do you think that that is the way to go, or do you think that there are special groups that should be receive special privileges?
I don't think special groups should be, you know, given special privileges, because I don't know what the population is for people who come to visit Canyon City, but I'm sure there's people that have come to Canyon City that have people with disabilities. So I think it should be more of a public thing than segregated to special groups, not just to, you know, it should be open to everybody. And that's what I'm wanting to see. I'm
Thank
all
you.
about inclusion here, guys.
I think I'm hearing that message. Thank you.
Yes.
And then my final question was just if you had like an overall like fantasy vision, or what you would like to see Red Canyon be to meet its potential.
What I would like to see, Mayor, is, you know, I know Rex also said that, I asked him if the geological camp that University of Kansas is working on could be connected to this Red Canyon Park. And he said there wasn't a way for it to be connected. But that would be a really awesome thing because it's only 1.5 miles from the park. And so if the geological camp and the Red Canyon Park could be connected, that would be my foreseeable future for the park.
Okay, that's it. That's all the questions we have for you.
Okay, thank
Yeah,
you.
thank you. Cindy, I drew the name of Justin. We haven't seen him. Did he give any notice that he would not be able to attend? We've heard nothing. Okay. Well, then we'll bring in our final person. That would be Martin Welch. Come on up to this big mic right up here.
To the podium?
Yes, the podium. And if you would please just introduce yourself to the council.
I'm Martin Welch. I'm a local resident here. I've lived here for a couple decades, and what else do you want to know?
Well, we'll go ahead and ask you some questions.
Sure.
We'll start with Councilmember Schmisher.
Thanks so much, Excuse me. Thanks so much, Mr. Welch, for being here and for your interest in serving on the committee. Could you tell us a little bit about why you want to serve on this committee?
Well, first of all, this park impacts me, in a way, I don't even know how to put it, but, my property abuts Red Canyon Park. We share our western border with the park. The road to the park goes through my property. And, over the last few years, we've owned it for, I guess, about 5 years, and have had kind of a really great ongoing relationship with the Parks Department because of that, with Rex and with Jesse, and have worked with them as far as, helping to maintain access, and I help kind of keep the entrance down there at Garden Park Road improved and cleaned up, and pick up litter off the road and all that kind of stuff. So, my wife and I, we bought that property somewhat hesitantly because we knew the crowd that historically has been attracted to Red Canyon Park. It's been, there's been squatters up there, there's been dumpers up there, there's, a lot of partying that goes on up there. But we saw a vision of something better, and we knew that, once we knew our time would come for Red Canyon Park at some point, that I think people have always loved it, and have always, there's certainly a group of people that love the park and see its potential. And, because of where it is and where it's situated, there's another group of people that have exploited that, exploited its location and used it for, like I said, for other uses. But in any case, I mean, that's why I'm interested. When we would love to see, a park that is open to all different types of users, and open for responsible use and conservation, and we certainly have those interests too. So does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hi, Martin.
Hi.
Thank you for being interested and willing to donate a lot of time, because these committees start out seeming simple and then they evolve. So thank you for helping us with this. And I was just wondering, what is your number one concern about Red Canyon Trails area being developed?
Well, my main concern, I'm going to flip that a little bit, is it not being developed. Because I think one of the biggest issues we have up there are like rogue trails. There's been, from a variety of different types of users, from equine users, from, hikers, from whoever, just making their own trails, which has really contributed to, that's a very sensitive area. That soil's very sandy. It's very susceptible to erosion. And we've seen some really damaging rogue trails go in already. And I think the thinking that I've talked to, with when we had our meeting here, was that Like all national parks, like all great national resources that we have, if we define where people can go and how they do that, then they're less likely to misuse, you know, those areas, go off trail and that kind of stuff. Limit access to certain really sensitive areas, but certainly give access to as much of the park as we can, you know, in a responsible way. That's my main concern, and that's why I mean, you can tell I'm for it. You know, I don't need to I don't need to hide that fact. But yeah, we'd love to see it, and for different types of users, different trails, different access points, I think that'd be wonderful. So,
Thank you.
thank you.
Great. Thanks for your interest in the committee, and thanks for being here tonight. It's really helpful to hear everyone's comments about what you see as important there.
Sure.
My question is kind of a three-part question, just based on your obvious knowledge of the area there and of the park area. What do you feel is working well? What is not working well? And what would you like to see done differently there?
Well, what is working well is it's the natural beauty of the park itself. I mean, the attraction that it is incorporated with, you know, the climbing area at Shelf Road, Oil Well Flats to the south. You know, it's one of many really great resources in that area, and so I would say, I mean, what a fantastic resource the city has, and so obviously that's working well. I would say, and you know, I've put up a couple little "please don't litter" signs and things, and keeping the litter picked up has actually, I think, contributed to less trash than when we first had it. We've seen that over the years. You know, that's true everywhere you drive. You drive down 115, there's trash on the side of the road. But so I think people have been more respectful of late from my experience. You know, what's not working well is, like I said, I mean, the absence of good access has, you know, allowed, or I don't even know the word, maybe encouraged people to make their own trails. And we know that rarely works well. The trails that are made that way aren't designed to handle rain and, you know, other environmental impacts, and they tend to just fall apart and cause more environmental damage. So I would say that's not working great. And really, I would say, you know, it's just the time is here for some good access trails to allow people to get really great vantage points of all the different formations and things like that responsibly. And I guess that goes into the third part, what I would like to see. I mean, I saw the plan that Steve Thomas and Leo were kind of laying out here, and it, you know, from what I could tell, it looked great. Like I said, I mean, to do better would be, like, I love all the trails up at the Royal Gorge, but to Sonia's, you know, to her situation, I mean, most of those trails are not accessible, you know, ADA accessible. Be great to see at least, you know, a loop, a part of that is, a part that is maybe very well suited to heavier equine traffic, and maybe a trail that, you know, is more of a single track hiker type centric trail. So, but I think that's on their docket too. And so yeah, what we'd like to see better. I mean, I'd love to see that road paved. I'd love to see it really nice, improved all the way up through there. A nice visitor center, something that really could be another jewel in Canyon City's crown. So,
Got it. Thanks.
Thank you for coming. What's the one thing you don't want to see done at the park?
well, I would say anything that would cause irreparable harm. And that would be, you know, if, like I said, those rocks, they look like they've been, and they've been there a long time, and they're probably going to be here well after all of us are gone. But, I mean, it's the kind of rock, if you go up to it with another rock and rub on it, it will fall apart. You know, it is very fragile stuff. So, I mean, for me, I mean, motorized, and I don't think this is even on the table, but like, you know, motorized four-wheel drive traffic through there, you know, through the park itself, not on the road, but could be pretty harmful. That's really it. Like I said, anything that would cause damage that we couldn't, you know, we can't fix. That's the thing. Once it's gone, it's just gone. So.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here. Actually, I think you've, in different forums, have already answered this question, but I'll ask it anyway. One of the theories about managing lands for the public benefit is multiple land use. And what are your thoughts on multiple land use groups using the park? Should one be favored over another, or how do you view that?
Well, I think the park itself is going to lend itself to certain areas that are going, you know, they're going to be able to be used by certain groups too. You know, some of these really steep, rugged terrain type situations are going to be very expensive, very difficult to develop in an ADA compliant way. But I think there's lots of areas that are. So as far as favoring, I think we let, and I think Steve and Leo and the Public Works Department look at that and make sure that absolutely not, no one group should be necessarily favored over another. Let the topography kind of lend itself to that, I think. So.
Thank you.
And I think you already answered my question as well, but if you have anything you want to add to it, please do. And that was really, I just was looking for, like, if you had your fantasy vision of what Red Canyon Park would be, what would that entail?
Well, I mean, Garden of the Gods, you know what I mean? If we're really going to, you know, throw it out there, I mean, it could be that type of attraction where, you know, it's the kind of thing that's at least statewide known, nationally known, and it already is. But something that there's power up there, there's facilities up there, there's, you know, a legitimate destination in and of itself. A lot of people that visit Garden Park Road area are more extreme type of athletes. You know, you've got the climbing area, the mountain bikers, you know, those that, the equine users and this kind of thing, you know, that's, but it'd be great to see it where it's the kind of place where it's more for kids, for families, for everybody, for, you know, whatever physical limitations you might have or anything like that. So that's what I'd like to see, like some, you know, a gift shop, you know what I mean? I mean, if you want to, like Garden of the Gods for Canyon City, and I know that's probably a ways off, but I mean, I think it has that potential.
Awesome, thank you so much, and those are all the questions we have. That's all the interviewing we have to do. Are there any other further questions or discussion that the council would like to say? Yes, please, Councilmember Schmischer.
Thank you so much, Madam Mayor. If I'm recalling our conversations about the formation of this committee correctly, we had said that we'd like to have at least three members from the public, but we would see who came forward and who applied. Personally, I think all four candidates would bring a lot to the table. They have a variety of backgrounds and a variety of interests, and I know part of our resolution is to ensure that we have balanced representation of Red Canyon user groups. So personally, I would love to see all four be on the committee and would want to propose that at our next meeting, I'm looking at our lawyers, at our next meeting that we amend the resolution to have up to four, I guess up to, what would it be?
There's
There
a
are
five right now. so
But
it'd be a
two
total
are
of-
city council.
Gotcha.
So have up to four
Up to-
community members, and have all four of them be on the committee.
A question about that, Councilmember Schmischer, so is there any virtue in maintaining an odd number of committee members?
I don't think so. In reviewing the main objectives of the committee, I don't think that there's anything that would be a strict hardline vote, and we do also have a staff liaison. So I think we would also, you know, have an odd person if we needed, or sorry, an odd number of people if we needed that.
It's fun.
Thank you for that.
Odd is a lot of fun. Yeah. Our resolution does say, item number 6, that this resolution can be amended at any time. Does that mean that it has to be amended at a city council meeting after it's been on an agenda for 24 hours?
That is correct.
I would voice the same thing. Each and every person offers something absolutely unique and essential for this conversation. Councilmember Tracy?
Thank you. And I don't remember which day it was. I was on the road for 8 days, so it was late last week, Thursday, Friday. I did email Ryan and Cindy saying, can we amend the agenda for tonight in order to amend the resolution tonight? Because in looking through the applications that we received, even before hearing from folks tonight, which has really been great, even added to our information, I had the same feeling that we really want all of these people as part of this committee. And I did have a question too. Where are we in the process of council members expressing interest in the committee? Do we already have 1 or 2 people in that category? I don't know where we are.
Well, now's the time to express your interest.
I didn't know if that had already happened sometime in the past.
I don't
Okay.
know. Yes.
I had previously expressed interest and would be happy to serve as the city council representative on this committee, and would be happy to go into why I would like to serve on this committee if council would so desire.
We still have room for one more?
I think any of us would be interested and add a lot to the committee. I'm kind of just looking around, trying to figure out what we can do about the first issue that was raised, rather than getting too far off of that. And, perhaps this is a lesson for us in how we word resolutions that we passed. Maybe it should have said up to 10 total or something, so that we don't put ourselves in a bind like this. And but I did want to just say that I did not get a response until today regarding my question about could we amend the agenda. So here we are. I don't know what to do with that.
Madam Mayor, you may just have to utilize the mayor's powers of appointment here to appoint the second council
Second
person.
council person? Kathy or Councilmember Worthington?
I was going to say, if nobody is, like I said, I struggle walking to the restroom, but being the representative to the Gold Beltway Byway, I think I would not mind being on that, because I do know that they're working on a opportunity for grant money and so forth to expand the pathway that could or could not intersect with Red Canyon. So I would be happy to participate on this committee too.
I was going to mention that I would like to get feedback from this committee, because that potential trail that would connect Cripple Creek to Red Park, essentially Canyon City, that's kind of a really big deal, and I would appreciate to get feedback from this committee about that, as they are doing that research, and you'd be a great liaison to do that.
Okay. I also would just like to interject that I totally agree with what Emily and Amy have said, that yes, we need to include all of these people. So if we need to make a motion to carry this over, I would like to do that, to be able to amend the resolution to expand the number of community members.
Well, I think what we would need is really a thumbs up, and then it would go to the next city council meeting, and just know that you guys would all know that you're all automatically on, as long as the vote goes through on our next city council meeting. So we have a yes from Kathy, a yes from Emily.
Yes.
Yes, yes, yes. All right, thank you again for the time that you took to be here, the time that you're willing to commit. The resolution says it's going to be monthly. It could be increased or decreased as needed. And there is a long list of objectives in the resolution of our expectations. In the interest of time, I'm probably not going to read all of the objectives, but Cindy, if we could please get that resolution to all of the committee members so that they can see those objectives and know them. And then we have your contact information, and we'll get set up on our first meetings to come forth. So thank you to the, Oh, to the council members, and not just to our community members, but our council members. That's a lot of time off of your plates as well, and I appreciate you as well for being those representatives. Okay, is there anything else we need to cover for this meeting at this time?
I don't think
Do
so.
we need to ask if evenings or daytimes are better, or if you guys have flexible schedules?
We,
Yeah, do it through email?
yeah, we can have the staff liaison reach out and start
Okay.
setting up
Maybe
those
do a
times.
doodle poll or something. Okay, excellent. All right, well, this meeting is adjourned.